After Luin's excellent performance in the match, Taeron King seems to be in some kind of distress, and he starts feeling jealous towards Luin's powers, which is evident on his face. Because of this jealousy, he calls out to Dean. Upon hearing his voice, Dean turns to look at him. Taeron King doesn't even look towards Dean and asks him for any information about Luin that he knows. Upon hearing Taeron's words, Dean pauses to contemplate because he knows Taeron's nature well. Therefore, carefully considering his response, Dean says that Luin is just like any other student whom everyone thinks will give up, but he doesn't. Luin is a child who can turn his weaknesses into strengths and is a magician who embodies magic more than anyone else. In the end, Dean concludes by saying that this is all he knows about Luin. Upon hearing Dean's response, Taeron King's anger escalates even further, but he can't do anything at that moment, so he pretends to calm down and takes his seat with a fake smile. He asks Dean, "Are you trying to protect a student from my curiosity, Tyrion?" Then he adds, "What if I tried to directly call up Luin Ardell and ask him myself?" Dean, upon hearing Taeron King's statement, also stands up and tells him, "If you were to forcefully get an answer from him, of course I'd have to stop you." Upon hearing this, Taeron King's expression changes. As they both look at each other, the atmosphere in the room becomes tense. A faint smile appears on Taeron's face, and he exhales slowly as if Dean's words didn't affect him at all. Breaking his silence, he asks Dean, "Are you going to talk about how magicians have the right to keep their secrets, the Oath of Millie?" Upon hearing the mention of the Oath of Millie, the judges sitting in the room with them are surprised and start looking towards Taeron, intrigued by his statement. With a smile still on his face, Taeron tells Dean, however, there should be no problem in sharing a few things with him. But there is a sense of deceit evident on his face. In his mind, he's contemplating the idea that in the world of magic, whoever possesses the most powerful magic should be him. Therefore, he wants to know what kind of new magic Luin used, which is why he's curious about it. On the other hand, Luin and his friends are sitting at Drink and Die Pub, enjoying their victory, along with students from other schools. Luin, however, sits in worry because he knows he has only won one competition and still needs to prepare for what lies ahead. Seeing the carefree faces of the students from other schools enjoying themselves starts to worry him more because they seem unconcerned about upcoming tests. All the kids are enjoying their drinks, laughing, chatting, and celebrating their victory. Some of Luin's friends are particularly happy because they have been waiting for this moment for a long time, especially when they were at their lowest. Jason approaches Luin with a wide grin, clearly intoxicated, and in a slurred speech encourages Luin to join in the fun. He suggests that this victory should be celebrated like a festival. Along with Altian's cocoa vanilla juice, Jason brings Luin the Dragon Kiss, a local alcoholic beverage. Seeing the Dragon Kiss, Luin appears a bit puzzled. To dispel his confusion, Jason laughs and remarks, "You know, I have a strong sense of local patriotism." Luin's attention is more on the bottle of Dragon Kiss than Jason's words, and he asks, "Isn't this a specialty drink from your territory?" As Jason and Luin converse, someone approaches them from behind. Jason assures Luin that this drink will make him feel great, just like if he had kissed a real dragon, and indeed, it's an excellent drink as always. Luin hesitates, looking at Jason, but Jason is very pleased and already somewhat intoxicated, so he's not ready to believe and starts making the drink for Luin. Just then, someone stands behind them. Luin immediately sends the person behind him away and turns back, seeing Sadness with a big upset face. On seeing Seda Malkiri, Jason and Luin immediately stand up from their seats and turn to look at him. Jason becomes extremely angry upon seeing him, and along with the scrutiny of their companions, their gaze falls upon Seda Malkiri. Seeing him, they both become very anxious, and their eyes cannot seem to look away from him. Just a moment ago, they were all laughing and joking, but now an atmosphere of complete silence fills the room, adding to the tension. Jason immediately steps forward and begins to explain to Seta Malkiri that they are currently enjoying themselves here, so he should leave. Luin stands silently, contemplating whether Seta Malkiri is plotting some sort of revenge. However, Seta Malkiri takes a deep breath and, with hesitation, breaks his silence, apologizing to Luin for his past mistakes. Upon hearing this, Luin and Jason are left confused. Seta Malkiri avoids making eye contact with the others, but continues to apologize, expressing his desire for forgiveness for whatever he did to them. He lowers his head and avoids eye contact with both of them, saying that after losing to Luin in the stadium, he realized that he shouldn't look down on others with disdain because they are weak compared to him. There are many people stronger than me in the world, and I am a weak person to someone else too. His words strike a chord with everyone, and in silence, Seta Malkiri, with a lowered head, catches the attention of those around him, who watch him closely, concerned that something might be wrong with him. Seta Malkiri continues, expressing that he now understands that everything he did to those people was very wrong. Jason finds it hard to believe such words, and, with a hitch in his voice, asks if someone can really change suddenly. However, Seta Malkiri seems genuinely remorseful about his actions, so he lowers his head and apologizes to them, saying, "I know that you may not want to forgive me that easily, even after saying this, but I want to make sure you all know that I am really sorry." For everyone, this is a very shocking thing because they know Seta Malkiri's nature, how much of a fighter he is. Luin stays quiet after hearing his words and keeps looking at him. Seta Malkiri looks back at Luin and apologizes again for ruining the atmosphere of the pub, then tells them he's leaving immediately and starts to head towards the exit. As he leaves, Luin calls out his name and asks him if his apology was just because he lost the bet or if he genuinely felt that he had done wrong. Seta Malkiri, with a sense of sadness, assures him that his apology was genuine. Upon hearing this, Luin feels really good and smiles at him, praising him for apologizing like a true gentleman, and extends his hand in friendship with a smile. Seta Malkiri didn't expect this kind of behavior from Luin. Seeing Luin's reaction, he also extends his hand in friendship, and both shake hands with joy. With this, a friendship forms between them, and all of Luin's classmates also accept Seta Malkiri's apology. They all start enjoying together, dancing and singing, while placing their hands on each other's shoulders, and they also drink the Dragon Kiss drink together. Everyone gets immersed in this enchanting atmosphere, and Luin loses his senses completely. He drinks excessively, and before he realizes it, he falls asleep. The next morning, when he wakes up, his friends are also awake. Luin sits up with his head in his hands because he has a severe headache due to the hangover from last night's intoxication. Hanks approaches with excitement and asks Luin if he remembers anything about last night. He also questions if Luin truly enjoyed the Dragon Kiss drink so much. Jason and his friend sit behind, laughing loudly at Luin's expense. Recalling the events of last night, how Luin and Seta Malkiri drank so much that they were completely out of it, Luin, amidst tears, thanks them for trusting him. Jason, still teasing Luin about it, laughs heartily with Hanks, telling him that they had no idea Luin, whom they consider so perfect, could also have such a side to him. Luin turns his head away and sits in a huff, like a sulking child, refusing to respond to their remarks. He sits with his mouth shut tight. After a while, Luin gets ready and heads out of the hall, still upset about Jason and Hank's comments. He's now also afraid that he might never touch the drink again, which, after consuming, made people emotional. Lost in these thoughts, Seta Malkiri calls out his name from the front and shouts across the hall asking, "Did you sleep well last night?" Seta Malkiri's loud shouting makes Luin feel extremely embarrassed, especially as he remembers all the events of the previous night upon seeing him. Feeling ashamed, Luin turns away, his face turning crimson, and quickly walks away as if he hadn't seen Seta Malkiri at all. Witnessing Seta Malkiri's behavior, he starts to wonder if he ever feels any embarrassment. As he goes a little further, Professor Heidel notices him and calls out from behind, as soon as Luin turns around to look back. Professor Heidel's comment about troubles and accidents always following Luin around makes his face turn even redder with embarrassment. Hesitantly, he asks Professor Heidel if he has also learned about his dark history. He relates Professor's words to the events of the previous night at the pub. Professor Heidel, unable to understand what Luin is talking about regarding his dark history, but without paying much attention to it, informs him that someone wants to meet him. Luin is surprised to hear this because he can't believe someone else wants to meet him too. He asks the professor about it. The professor warns him, saying that Dean is worried about him because the person who wants to meet him is a dangerous individual with a cunning mask. This piques Luin's curiosity even more, wondering who this person could be who wants to meet him. Luin is stunned when the professor reveals the name of the person, and a sense of fear begins to envelop him, evident on his face. The person who wants to meet Luin is none other than Tiro's king. The professor shares some shocking information about Tiro that will leave you amazed. To find out more, you'll need to subscribe to our channel so you can learn in the next video.